Real World.
Real World.
Anniversary special.
Since it first aired in 1992, The Real World has dealt with several of the most pressing social issues of the last decade, and it's dealt with them head-on.
I've made a decision that I'm going to terminate the pregnancy.
You think it's easy for someone to go through that? I didn't say it was easy. You're saying it makes me sick to my stomach to think about that.
When I walked into the clinic, the first thing that hit my mind was I wanted it to be over very quickly. I just didn't want to fill out any paperwork. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to go straight and have it done and go back home.
Did you bring your money order with you?
I brought cash.
Tanisha? Here. You gotta sit up so you can take this.
I was in excruciating pain, throwing up a lot, bleeding heavily, and I thought instantly that maybe I had made the wrong decision and I was being punished for it.
Did the producers and the directors and everybody give you the option of keeping your pregnancy and your abortion off camera?
Yes, they did. I felt that it's something that needed to be shown because as a responsible young adult today, I wasn't very responsible. And I wanted to show every teenager, every young female that you need to protect yourself. You need to have safe sex. And if not, this is the type of decision that you're going to have to endure, and this may be the procedure that you're going to have to endure. And I thought that they needed to see those steps so that they would know, okay, I need a condom.
I realized that Tammy needed a friend. She didn't need somebody to tell her, you're wrong for doing this,
right.
Even though that might have been the way I felt. And that she was hurting, and I just needed to be there for her.
Lindsay.
Hi.
Bill killed himself.
What?
He killed himself last night.
What?
Lindsay.
What? Do you believe me? What?
Dealing with the suicide and stuff. Like, I think you opened a lot of people's eyes all across the country because a lot of people had dealt with the same thing and maybe had not seen it before, like, you know, in that atmosphere.
If your gut is telling you that a friend is in trouble, they probably are. If they're talking negatively about their life or withdrawing from the world, ask them how bad it gets and if they ever get suicidal. If they answer yes, get them help. You don't need anyone's permission to do whatever it takes to protect a friend. It's something I'd never hoped, or I'd never expected to deal with in my life, and I'd never wanted to deal with or hoped to deal with. And but I know a lot of people have dealt with suicides and deaths, and hopefully somebody got something from that.
Christ have mercy.
Is anybody Catholic?
What the Bible clearly states, no sex before marriage.
I mean, I know for sure that when I get married, I'm raising my kids Catholic.
Throughout its history, The Real World has been one of the few television shows to focus on young people's views on religion.
Ooh, the Mormon girl. What's the Mormon girl doing? What's her deal? Going on The Real World, I was really intimidated to be the first Mormon on MTV, you know? Because there were so many religious people on. There've been of all faiths, but I felt like I was maybe representing for Mormonism.
Are you going to continue Mormonism?
People ask me that all the time.
Yeah.
That's my #1 asked question. Are you still Mormon?
Yeah.
And it baffles me that people ask that. It's like my last name. It's so much a part of who I am. And how could you think that I would ever deny something like that? I mean, yeah, I question things all the time. I think everyone should question things every day. Because if you don't question it, then what do you really believe in?
What somebody else has told you.
Yeah.
Racist, you are. You sell drugs.
Me being black ain't got to do with it.
As controversial as religion can be, nothing has fueled as many arguments in The Real World as race relations.
You come from a particular background. I come from a particular background. Wait a minute. Will you listen?
Why do you get so close?
Will you listen? Black people are emotional. That's my explanation.
White people are... Oh, my God.
Listen, will you do?
It's not a black-white thing.
And how you gonna say get off the black-white thing when that's the reality? Racism is everywhere.
not.
That's my point. That's my point. What happened to Alabama?
Because of people like you, Kevin.
People like me.
Because of people like you, not people like me.
Black people cannot be racist. Black people cannot be racist. We don't have the power to control what
Get out of my face.
Why
I'm
you
so
upset?
sick of this.
That argument that Julie and I had was huge. I mean, there was so many people. I wish they could have panned around and showed the people, but we were oblivious. We were just going at it. I wish I would have had the kind of emotional maturity to be like, you know, you got to accept people for where they're at if you want people to accept you for where you're at. You know what I mean? And I just didn't have it.
I know, for me, when you and Julie were arguing, it was right around Rodney King.
It was. There was tension in the house already. Yeah.
Yeah, I needed to hear that, and I needed to know that You know, as a black person, I'm not going crazy. This place is racist. This is, you know, I'm angry and I have a right to be angry. It felt good for me to see you as an articulate young man voicing my opinions.
You know what's weird though is that with this show, especially for people of color or you know, marginal minority groups, quote unquote, people come up to you and you sort of represent that whole culture.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So do you get the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender people are like...
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, that was my purpose.
Right, that's cool.
So for me, that's huge.
Right.
It's huge. So tell me if this is a gay myth.
I wouldn't be gay anymore. I want to be straight.
Her religion tells her I am evil because I am gay.
One of the first shows on television to deal with homosexual themes, The Real World has shared the stories of an entire generation of gays and lesbians.
I definitely was neurotic about how to bring my sexuality into 6 people that I didn't know. Would they treat me differently? Would I be treated differently? And I learned that they didn't.
When I was in high school, I started watching this television show, and I saw Norm from New York, and thought he was so cool, and, you know, sat there and watched it, and just thought, you know, how can I do this? You know, look at all he's doing. And all he was doing was just living his life.
I don't like gay people.
You don't like gay people?
I just have a feeling that I hate them.
You hate them? That's a strong word.
Hate them? My mother tells me not to hang around with gay people, I guess.
What if I told you I was gay?
Just start crying in tears. No.
Would you like me? Would you stop liking me?
No, I would still like you. You know what?
What, Pilar?
It doesn't matter how people are. It doesn't matter like if they're gay. It matters how do they treat you. Like if they're nice to you or mean to you.
One thing that I have learned to appreciate about the show is while you didn't get the meat of our conversation, and while you really didn't figure out why I may be homophobic or whatever,
It at least
just
introduced
enough to open up the door. It
Exactly.
was just enough to open up the conversation. And in Poughkeepsie, wherever, someone would go to junior high school and the next thing, did you see The Real World?
Yeah.
No, she didn't
Yeah.
say that about that gay girl. And it just opened up the door
Exactly.
to conversation for millions of people.
I'm just hoping that, you know, one kid in the Midwest can dress like a freak and not get kicked out and go to jogs.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's a dream come true.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the ability to be who you want to be, do what the hell you want to do because you're an individual and you should have the freedom to do what you want as long as you're not infringing anyone else. And I think that's the message that you've got to get out of all of any of those seasons is that you may not agree with these people. In fact, you may vehemently disagree with these people. But at least they're getting the chance to represent themselves.